Okay, hi everyone. Again, Gary Colesill here. We are just about to get started. I'm here today with Scott Rulon from Rulon Financial. Scott is a licensed CPA in the wonderful state of Arizona, and he's going to tell you how to get a ton of money, I guess, out of the government if you meet certain requirements for your small business. So, without much further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Scott. So, Scott, take it away. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Gary. So happy to be here with you, especially so close to this holiday season. And I have great news for all of you. Many of you may have heard that the ERC had been put on hold for a number of months. But good news is the IRS is reopening the window in which to receive refunds starting again on January 1st. We just received word for that last week. So that's exciting. So any of you that got your stuff in the interim, your things are being processed. So I can tell you refunds are now being sent out again. So it appears that the IRS has caught up. For those of you that don't know what ERC is, it stands for Employee Retention Credit. So I know many of you have seen many different names for that. ERTC, ERC, payroll tax refund. I've heard it called all of these. In fact, I've even applied for one of these myself. But if you want to know the exact IRS guidelines for these, I have them on the screen as we speak. So IRS RP 2133, IRSN 2123, IRSN 2120, and IRS 2149. So if you want some good bedtime reading, these are great guidelines to look at. The actual law was passed way back in 2020. And the important thing to know is there is a very specific deadline, especially if you want to apply for this refund for the 2020 tax year. That deadline, by the way, is April 15th of 2024. If you want to apply for the refund for the 2021 period, that deadline is April 15th, 2025. And so a lot of you may be asking, what is this credit? Well, here's the good news. This credit is for any business that was in business in 2020 and 2021 and had actual W-2 employees. Now, W-2 employees, that is not 1099s. So if you're a realtor or you work for a real estate firm and you send out 1099s, that doesn't count. But if you had like a secretary or a transaction processor who receives a W-2, it could entirely account for you. So don't ever forget that. There have been some new things put in place over the past couple months. The IRS had been really worried about fraud taking place. And so the IRS has cleaned up a lot of that in the past few months. In fact, they've allowed those people that were potential fraudsters that already put their paperwork in. They've actually given you a timeline in which you could withdraw that paperwork if you wanted to. So let me tell you what you're going to need to apply for this. So the first thing you're going to need is this form called a 941. And for those of you that don't know what a 941 is, that is a payroll tax return. Payroll tax return is actually how you report your payroll data. So you will need payroll tax returns by quarter for 2020, first, second, third, and fourth quarter. For 2021, first, second, third, and fourth quarter. You will also need your payroll register or payroll run by quarter. And so that payroll run for each quarter should match up perfectly with your 941. So we've had a couple cases where it didn't match up, and guess what? The IRS tossed it back. So that means if we have to take extra time to correct your payroll register or your 941, that's just going to be a little bit longer period before you can get your potential refund. The second thing that you will also need, you will need your profit and loss statements. That's the one that shows your revenue or gross receipts and your expenses. Now, we will need those by quarter for the year 2019, first, second, and third quarter, 2020, first, second, and third quarter, and 2021, first, second, and third quarter. So those, you should know that there are a couple ways to qualify for this. So since we've just talked about the quarterly profit and loss statements, here's the first thing that we're going to look at. We're going to look at by quarter in 2020. How does the first quarter of 2020 compare to 2019? And we do it forward by quarter through 2021. If your gross revenues between 2020 and 2019 were down by 50%, that is, your gross receipts or revenue was down by 50%, you're almost sure to qualify for this. Then if we look at the 2021 tax period and we compare that to 2019, sorry, a lot of 20s in there, and it was down by 20% or more, you qualify for the 2021 tax period as well. And so, by the way, this is not small money. It can amount to anywhere between $11,000 and $26,000. And by the way, that's per employee. Now, that's not the owner of the business, so the owner of the business can't count their W-2. But just about anybody else that works for the business, we can count your payroll towards that credit. So we've seen all kinds of refunds in here. The lowest one that I've seen of the ones that we've worked on, they got a refund of $18,000. But the biggest one that I've seen that we worked on, that company, which by the way was an internet company, they received literally $397,000. Wow, that's a lot more than pocket change, that's for sure. So don't be afraid. Here's the good thing though. For us to calculate to see if you have a credit, that's absolutely free. You don't have to pay us a dime for us to calculate what you might get. Now, of course, you probably realize we don't work for free. And so what we do is after you receive your refund, if you qualify, you will pay a contingency fee. That contingency fee is usually somewhere between 15 and 20% of the refund you receive, but you will not have to pay anything until you get your actual refund in your pocket. I know that's exciting for many of you. And so a lot of you have had lots of different questions about this. Some of the big ones are, what kind of businesses qualify? Well, I would tell you that there's very few businesses that don't qualify as long as you have W-2 wages. And so far we've talked about the first two ways to qualify if your gross receipts went down, but there's another way to qualify as well. What if you had a partial or total suspension of operations of your business? That's right. There's some of you that couldn't do business. If you lived in the state of California and you worked for a church, churches were completely closed down in California. Whereas in Arizona, our governor at the time, Governor Ducey, did not give the same order as Governor Newsom in California. So our churches here could be opened up. So it's crazy how some of that works. Another big culprit in here, those of you that worked in the restaurant or food industry, you were hit really hard. So your entire dining rooms, pretty much across the nation, as far as I know, were closed down. So that included Burger King, that included McDonald's. I did credits for a lot of Greek restaurants here in the Phoenix area. And most of them, they had to lock their front door. And what you got to do is you got to order that online, and they would have to bring your meal out to the curbside. So one of the big issues we had here is, what if you're a restaurant owner and couldn't get your food? A lot of the Greek restaurants, they couldn't get their shawarma or gyro meat. Sometimes it was taking about 6 weeks before they got anything. Have another client, they were a manufacturer, they manufactured cabinets, and you know what they couldn't get? They couldn't get the hinges and the knobs on their thing. It was taking almost 8 months sometimes for them to get the items that they needed to finish the cabinet. Oh, and by the way, let's also talk about the wood that they had to order for the cabinets. Guess what happened there? That's right, they were allocating wood to their best customers. So you could have been left without anything to perform your regular operations. Let's say you were in the construction industry. One of the things that happens in construction a lot is you send out estimators, and those estimators have to go out and estimate a job. Well, what if you could no longer send an estimator out to your person's place of business? So there's lots of ways that there could have been a partial or total suspension. I know a lot of you are also asking the question about IRS audits. So what we have seen so far is that maybe 1 out of every 10,000 are being audited. And the ones that are being audited, from what we've seen thus far, are the people that were really receiving millions of dollars rather than tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what I can tell you, because I was just at an IRS seminar a couple weeks ago, and literally the director of field collections for the entire IRS was there. The head of the taxpayer advocate was there. And guess what they said? The IRS is having problems. Big surprise there. But what I can tell you is really the main audit point on this will be what constitutes a partial close down of operations. Now, from what I've seen, there's lots of different things and there's lots of items that we had to put in our office to make them saleable to our clients. Remember those ridiculous dots where we had to stand like 6 feet apart from everybody, and we had to wear those masks, or we had to have that. Remember the plexiglass? In fact, we still have the plexiglass up in our office at my in my receptionist's office. So when anybody comes in, and during that time, I'll tell you what we did. We didn't know anything about COVID. So what we did is we had our clients, because we do tax returns, we had our clients call us when they were in the parking lot, and we had a box in the front, and they would call us, and we would go out to the box with our mask and our blue gloves, and we'd go out and we'd disinfect the paper, and we would bring it in, and yeah, it was quite a process. I think a lot of us learned more about how to do business online. And so, in fact, I've had clients that they didn't have any decline in sales, and guess what? They still qualified for the credit. I mean, that was just really surprising to me, that you could make money and still qualify for the credit. So, again, lots of different ways in which we can get money. So what other kinds of businesses? Well, I've really not seen any that didn't. Obviously, big ones were, churches, we had restaurants, we had accountants, we have architects, we have web-based firms. The list of the different type of businesses out there was really in the hundreds. So What of those of you that have a large sales force and your sales force couldn't get on an airplane to fly to another place? What if you had to spend extra expenses? I know all of us became really good at things like Google Duo or Google Zoom. And so I'm afraid to tell you that just wearing a mask at your place of business is not going to qualify you. But if you had to do several things to make your business habitable for your customers to come in, those can qualify for you. And I wanted to let you know really the last step in the process. We have a short 2-3 page questionnaire that you have to fill out and talk about how your operations changed during COVID. So I wanted to show you really exactly what we're going to need from you. So certainly we've talked about the payroll tax returns, talked about the payroll registers. We've talked about the quarterly profit and loss statements. And then we've also talked about the questionnaire at the end. So here's an example of many different types of things. So banks, I know Hong Kong Singapore Bank, that's HSBC, they got a lot. We actually got a credit for a cannabis dealer, believe it or not. That was kind of fun. Insurance agencies, hotels, recruiting, staffing, security, supermarket, title insurance. Yeah, all of these qualify. Even look at that, waste management. Or how many of you had a dog or a pet and you had to wait outside your veterinarian's office and give them a call so they could come out and grab your pet, whether that be a dog, cat, or a bird, and check how things were? Yeah, there's all kinds of things. And so what we'll really need from you, we'll need the name of your organization. We'll need the industry that you are in. We will need a legitimate contact name. Look, please don't waste our time and put in a fake name just because you want a restaurant.com gift card. If you don't give us a legitimate name and a legitimate phone number and email address, you are not going to get the card. Sorry, you need to give us legitimate stuff. I promise we won't harass you, but what we will do is the biggest thing that seems to get in the way is people not getting their paperwork together. So I know this is not the kind of paperwork you keep in your right desk drawer. Sometimes you're going to have to go to your storage facility and you're going to have to pull this out. So a legit contact name, legit contact title. We need a real phone number. Guess what? We will call all of your phone numbers to make sure you are a real person. We will email people at the addresses that are given and make sure that you respond. And we also need to know the number of employees. Now, this is W-2 employees. Let me tell you, this is not 1099s. This is W-2 employees. I mean, that is really not that hard to put together. I literally put all this stuff together in probably half an hour, 45 minutes. And I really did get a refund, $26,477. It's already in the bank. And the big thing is, guess what? It's not a loan. It's a grant. The other big question people are asking, is this taxable? Well, it is not directly taxable. When you receive the money, it is absolutely free from tax. However, what you have to do in the year that you receive your refund, you have to take a deduction against your payroll for the payroll tax credit that you received. And so that will up your tax a little bit, but you get the money, you actually get the money for free. So in and of itself, that $26,477 that I received is not taxable by itself. But what I do have to do is reduce the payroll in the year that I received the credit. So lots of good and bad information out there. I'm really happy to say that the IRS has opened up the portal. They are definitely processing refunds again. I've seen it. In fact, I just saw one this morning, as a matter of fact, that just got processed. So now's the time really to get that 2020 refund. Literally, we only have about 4 months left and to apply for that one, and a year and 4 months for the other one. So time is now to put this together. IRS has opened up the portal. We use a company called Bottom Line Concepts. They are responsible for greater than $6 billion worth of payroll tax refunds. Good news is they've been around for 15 years. They're going to be around for a lot more. If you ever do get audited on this, they will provide all of their paperwork that's necessary to help prove your credit. If you have less than 5 W-2s, guess what? We can help take care of you there as well. We have a local Phoenix firm called EIAG. A lady named Liz Pearson helps me with that. We've been successful there. And in the last couple of months, we have actually found another firm that will actually help you if you have maybe like 2 or 3 W-2s. So we can help you whatever the size of your organization is, whatever type of business that you have. And so that's the beauty of it. So if you want to contact Gary or myself, you can contact me at Scott, SCOTT, .Rulon, RULON, the number 29 at gmail.com, or you can give us a call at 602-824-2299 to see how your case stacks up. And I know Gary will put his information up in the chat room, so you can see it there, and he usually puts mine up there as well. But look, don't be shy. If you have any question of whether you might qualify, it's free to see if you qualify. So why wouldn't you want to do it? Gary, at this time, we're sitting at about the 27-minute time. I'll give you a couple minutes for questions. Since everybody always has a hard time asking the first question, Gary, I'm going to leave that to you to ask.
Okay. Well, you've been through a lot of things about the different industries that are qualified, and obviously there are a lot of them, but are there any industries that just because the industry they're in are not qualified?
I haven't
Because
seen
that's a smaller list, I would think. that was one thing that hit me when you were talking about that. I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, so for the most part, for the smaller businesses, it's those that have between 5 and 500 employees, which is still a small business. You know, the one business that I had a question about whether it would qualify or not was the medical cannabis, or just the states that have opened up to regular cannabis operations. I had a question of whether they would qualify, because technically, it's still illegal from a federal point of view. But on the state level, I mean, everybody's gone 2 guns forward, and we actually got a credit for a cannabis dealer, believe it or not. And that was the one I wasn't sure whether they were going to qualify. So don't try to cheat the program. They are really good at finding cheats. If you have a legitimate claim for credit, you ought to do it. Just like Cuba Gooding Jr. said and Jerry Maguire, show me the money. It can happen for you, but it just doesn't happen if you don't do anything. You have to do something. So if you had either a significant decline in gross receipts, a full or partial suspension of operations, go for it. Why not? It's not going to hurt you to apply and see if you qualify. If you never apply, you'll never know. So you can't, as they say in the lottery, you can't win if you don't play, Gary.
That's certainly true. I was thinking, funny about just about guns. Gun stores? When we were in Arizona, we have a lot of gun stores here, and I'm not going to comment on that. But would they be able to? I suppose they had a business affected. As long as it affected their business, they'd be.
Actually, they did. And so one of my clients is actually believe it or not, they're a gun manufacturer or a wholesaler.
Oh, right. Okay.
They got a credit. In fact, they got a very large credit. So yeah, their credit was almost $1 million, by the way.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough then.
Yeah. So yeah, even gun manufacturers, gun stores, they all qualify
Okay.
from what I've seen. If you had any suspension in operations or partial suspension, they seem to have gotten their credits as well too.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, as a kind of different quick switch here, we did a webinar last week on funding for college, and we're doing another one on Thursday, I believe, this week. And that's a segue into the fact that Neil is on here with us today. He was actually on the webinar last week, and he did have some questions for you. I know you're away for a few days and probably didn't have a chance to get back to him,
Sure.
but I can unmute him if Neil, if you want to chat for a minute about the college, you're more than welcome to, or if you'd rather do it privately on a phone call, that's fine too. But yeah, we can go over a few things with you now if you have a minute. Let's see if we can make you allow you to talk here. Can you? Oh, did I unmute you? I think I did.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Neil. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, fine, thank you very much. Another beautiful day in Arizona. I'm not too unhappy. It's a good time of year to be
Yeah.
here. But anyway, yeah. If you want to ask Scott any questions about college from last week, go ahead. You've got the floor.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, from what I heard, I'm not sure if this is the case or not. So we apply to your program or whatever, and then basically, unless we get the scholarships, like the way it works is like unless if we get the scholarships, then we won't have to like basically it's based on us getting the scholarships and then we pay you basically is what my question was. Is that how it
Um,
works?
so I would tell you when it comes to college funding, really, so when we get to scholarships, so certainly there's the outside scholarships other than the college or university, and we use the application called FastWeb, and so you can apply for those on your own. And so you would have your son or daughter go through it, take them about 30-45 minutes to fill out the FastWeb thing, and they will start pushing you different scholarships in there. But I would tell you, really 90% of the money from college comes from the scholarships that come from the universities itself. And so one of those that you see most often, there are a lot of people that are a lot of people have smart kids. They do well on the National Merit Scholarship Program, but that scholarship is really only $3,000 or $4,000. I would tell you that there's also insurance companies. I know one insurance company that gives out 100 scholarships a year. I know another one, and that's about $4,000 scholarships, by the way. So they give out a significant amount. So we do not charge a contingency fee on that. We actually charge a flat fee on the work that we do for college planning. And so what I like to do is sit down with somebody for the first time, and for that, we just charge about $150 and see where you are. We do have a longer term plan that costs more, but we'll take you through soup to nuts of everything that you would need to do to find the right amount of funding for your son or daughter. In fact, I helped a young lady who just graduated last year. We actually helped her get $72,000 worth of college funding per year at Boston University. So, and even my own son, who is now graduated and proudly an engineer at Intel, um, we actually, through the process we used, we actually got him full tuition scholarship for 4 years. Boy, that was a relief off mom and dad, I can tell you that. So,
Well,
any other questions, Neil? Or
No, I think that was it. Yeah, I just
yeah,
wanted to clarify that.
I was going to ask you, Neil, you looking for yourself or for one of your children?
Oh, I'm actually looking for myself,
Oh yeah,
but
that's what I thought from our previous
yeah,
conversation. Yeah, it wouldn't make any
yeah,
difference, would it, Scott?
hey,
yeah.
Neil, where do you go to school? Or are you about to go into college?
Yeah, I'm about to go into college. I'm currently applying for scholarships, but
Okay.
you know,
But let me give you a quick one. What state do you think you're going to go to college in?
Ohio.
Ohio? So here's one of the things that I like to tell most of my students because they don't really realize this. At most college campuses, they've got something called a bursar's office. The bursar is the person that's responsible for giving out the money for different organizations that have funded scholarships at that university. Now, would you believe it or not, there's sometimes they cannot find students that exactly fit um, their scholarship criteria, but they have to give the money out. And so sometimes if you are close and you'll contact the bursar's office of the place you actually got in, you can do that. So Neil, are you still supported by mom and dad at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so they'll want to take a look at mom and dad's W-2s. So we have a new term in college planning. It used to be called expected family contribution. It's now they've changed the term to something called SAI. And
Mm.
that's literally within the past couple months. And so the big thing is the biggest mistake I see in college planning is not filling out the FAFSA form. If you don't fill it out, you don't qualify for anything. So, depending on where your mom and dad's payroll is, it's possible that you might qualify for a Pell Grant. That's up to $6,000 per year for all the years that you were in undergraduate college. So that's another convenient thing. Another one is when mom and dad do their tax return, they can use something called American Opportunity Credit or Lifetime Learning Credit. Or if mom and dad earn too much money, do you work at all, Neil?
No, not right now.
No. So one of the things is you can get a job at the college, and that's one thing. And if you do happen to get a job while you're going to college, if mom and dad earn too much money, then we just apply for the scholarship called the American Opportunity Credit or Lifetime Learning Credit under your own tax return. So those are some cheap and easy ways that the government already provides, and you don't really have to apply to those other than in the sense you have to fill out a FAFSA form.
Hmm.
So there is money out there. So just you'll kind of think of this as like a second job. And so we filled out, I hate to tell most people this, but we filled out hundreds of applications. Um, However, we got some of them, believe it or not. Some of them were maybe $500 or $1,000. But it is very possible. You're just going to have to take some time to do it. Another nice hint for applying for colleges is there's something online. If you don't know about it, it's called the Common App. It is a Common App that is sent to several colleges, and they have some essay questions. I would always recommend somebody do the essays. If you
Hmm.
don't do them, you never have a chance. I know even here in the state of Arizona, and I'm sure my wife, by the way, is an Ohio State graduate, so I know a
Oh, yeah.
little bit about
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're going into like engineering or some other type professions, they do have some scholarships specifically for those colleges. And I know here at the University of Arizona, they have something called a Brown Scholarship. And it's only given out to those students that take the time to write an essay. And so they look at the essays, and some of those students actually get money.
Mm.
And so I think it's not impossible to get money, but you're going to have to just realize you're going to have to work for it a little bit.
Right.
And
Okay.
so college is expensive. Even the state colleges here in the state of Arizona, and I haven't looked at Ohio State lately, but most of the state colleges, including room and board and tuition, we're looking $32,000 to $34,000 a year. And really important that when you decide which one you're going to go to, you work really hard to get out of there in 4 years. The average time that most kids are in college now is about 5.5 years. So a lot of them are spending an extra year and a half's worth of tuition, and they don't have to. Just realize that are you gonna do room and board type thing? You gonna live at the college or
Yeah. I feel like it might depend on the scholarships I get. I'm honestly not really sure because I could save a lot of money because like I am in within like a 20-minute distance, but it is a bit annoying to, drive 20 minutes, park in the parking lot and all that. So
Yeah, and so a lot of kids that after they finish their first year in college, a lot of them apply to be like a resident assistant. And so if you can get in as an RA at one of the dorms, they will literally pay your entire room and board for you.
oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that I've just seen. I would be really surprised if a place like Ohio State didn't have that. My wife also went to another smaller private college in Ohio as well. Um, so she became a teacher after that. But yeah, there's lots of money available, but realize it just doesn't come for free. You have to work for it, and a lot of them do require that you maintain a certain grade average to get that.
Right.
So I would just maybe what I'd do is maybe fill out an application a day for some of these scholarships you get through FastWeb and just keep doing it. I've seen just so many kids actually get money through that process that it was a huge help.
Hmm. Right. Exactly. Okay.
Right. Well, I hope that helps. Neil. You can come on the next college one on Thursday if you like. I can shoot you an invite, but it's going to be the same one as last week. But
Okay.
if you want, I should have a recording of this today. I can shoot it over to you, so
Yeah.
you can go back on Scott's remarks if you like.
All right. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, all right. I'll shoot that over to you. I've got your email address.
So just realize there's lots of possibilities when it comes to going to college.
Right.
Um, it can be done. Trust
Mhm.
me, it can be done. I did it even when I was in college, and college wasn't as much as it is today, but still, I
Mhm.
got through it. I got some small scholarships. See, the one thing is a lot of times some of those small out scholarships altogether can add up to a great big one. And
Exactly.
so my son's full tuition scholarship was actually 6 different scholarships
Mm.
that got him to the tuition amount.
Mhm. Right. That sounds
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you so much for coming in and listening.
yeah. Yeah. No problem.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Neil.
for answering my question.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll shoot the recording over.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you very much then, everyone. If anybody else has any other questions, they can even be on college if you like. That's fine. Go ahead. If not, we're going to give you about a minute and then we're going to wrap and the survey will pop up in your browser. So thank you everyone for being here today. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Scott. And thanks to Neil as well. Alrighty. Speak to you all soon then. Bye for now.